Good morning. Welcome again to Summit. It's our midweek edition of the program, and we're really happy to be with you again today. I am Jumoke Michaels, and I'm not here alone. Banji is right here. Banji, good morning.
Yeah, Jumoke, good morning. It's mid-August, and people are complaining that the rains are not falling. That there's supposed to be August break, of course, but it's already getting beyond much, and farmers are getting agitated that they are not getting. We hope that the hunger protest that just passed us by will not repeat itself next year. So I pray that let the rain fall, let showers come down, so that there will be a lot of agricultural activities for our food production to be boosted. My name is Banji Busari. It's our midweek edition. You are welcome.
All right, on Summit today, our subject matter for discussion is the seizure of Nigeria's aircraft in France, the subnationals' handling of business transactions. That's what we're looking at today. It's not a new thing. The news is all over the media space of the ongoing issue, the dispute between Zongtan Fusheng Industrial Investment and Ogun State. Our guest today is a journalist, a media practitioner, an editor.
A seasoned one at that.
A seasoned editor. And he's going to be discussing this issue with us this morning. We have Mr. Bola Wole here with us. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, my sister,
Good
my
to
brother.
have you.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
As a journalist, I know we are delving into an issue that will require some bit of legalities and all of that. But as a journalist, we know you are so versatile that you know a bit of everything. That's why we deemed it fit to actually get you here on this program to look at the issue of the seizure of our national assets. That's aircraft, 3 of them in France, after a court case awarding damages to Zongfu based on the business that went sour between that company and Ogun State government. Of course, you all know the embarrassment the nation has suffered already. Yeah. I mean, the last couple of days, that it has attracted a lot of negative comments about Nigeria, whether it's in our culture not to respect business agreements or not to honor our business obligations. You remember the case of P&ID, which actually eventually we got a court ruling in our favor. But this one is a messy one, very, very messy. And our national assets are already there in the custody of Zongfu. In the first place, what was your reaction to, as a Nigerian, when the news broke?
Thank you very much. Maybe before we discuss that, let's talk briefly about this issue of rain. I think it is now that we will miss the rain doctor, Majek Fashek. If he were here now, we will ask him to sing, and then God will send down the rain, let the rain fall. Maybe we should play his records more, send down the rain, and then God will send down the rain. So that's on a lighter mode, because actually we need the rains so that crops can grow, and so that we can have more food, and so that the problems of we are hungry can
be a thing of the past.
Yes, can become a thing of the past. Now, talking about the seizure of Nigerian aircraft, 3 presidential jets. The first question I ask myself is, what are we doing with 3 presidential jets? What are we doing with presidential jets? And we have still buying another one. What are we doing with them? Nigerians are saying that we don't need them. Nigerians are saying that the Prime Minister of Britain flies
commercial airline.
A lot of other presidents all over the place, Scandinavian countries, they fly commercial airline. Why are our president flying 3 jets?
And why taking the 3 jets for maintenance at the same time?
Why? And we say that we are poor, and we say we have problems of with finance, and we are behaving as if that is not true. What are we doing? I saw a vehicle. I don't know whether it is true. They call it the beast, black beast. What are we doing with all of that extravagant spending? What are we doing with all those? Why should our leaders live royalty. If you want to live like a royal, use your own personal money. You can't be using the money of Nigerians when Nigeria itself is broke. So the first question we should ask is, what are we doing with 3 presidential jets? Sell off those jets and use the money to do some more useful things for the country. We are saying, Nigerians are saying that we don't need it. Our president is our servant. Our president should be able to operate at the level of our economy. Don't operate above the level of our economy. So that's maybe those who sees something, maybe they are helping us. Maybe what they should do is just sell it off, take deduct their $70 million and give us the remaining change and let us find something to do with it. And then we can come back home. We can come back home and then look at
probably even share the money amongst ourselves.
Yes, if I look at who is at fault in this issue, is it the governor that has come out to say that I made a mistake? Then we should ask him to refund us the 70 million.
Did he specifically say he made a mistake?
Yeah. From his statement, you can. We are journalists. You can deduce. You can infer because he said that A was the one that was giving the contract. The A was going about doing the contract. Then B came and told lies against A, and on account of those lies, because he didn't want the work to stop. He took the contract from A and gave it to B, and later he discovered that B told a lie. Now he terminated the contract that he gave to B. So now we are lucky that even A that was given the job initially is not suing us. It is B that told lies to get the job, that the job was not taken from, that is suing, I think.
But there has been a reaction from the presidency, that's Bayo Ononuga, the spokesperson to the president, saying that federal government should not be joining this, that we have no business in this.
Yes.
That is a state. But can the federal government totally exonerate itself from contractual agreements between the subnational and from foreign companies?
You see, that is why we have been saying that Nigeria is a federation and should operate strictly as a federation. They are making us look like, they are taking us now as a centrist government, where the center is responsible for everything, because that's the way we have presented ourselves to the outside world. If we have presented ourselves as a federation, where the states are independent, where the states run their own
autonomous,
they run their own business, and the federal government is not responsible for whatever they do, nobody will come and ask you, or come and assess your assets for what.
We are not privy to.
You see, even as individuals, once you have a child that is of age, you cannot be held accountable for the problem of that child. See what happened in the U.S. The president Biden. See what happened to the son. The son was indicted, and Biden said he's an adult. Hold him responsible. I don't have anything to do with it. The same thing happened to the former president Trump. Say my son is an adult. I am not responsible for his actions. And which is how it's supposed to. That's even between father and son. So now between federal government and state government, except the federal government stood as guarantor.
That's another.
Except if the federal government stood as guarantor for the state, then it can be held accountable. But if it did not in any way stand as guarantor, if our laws do not say that whatever the state governments are doing, there is binding, or the federal government is also is liable for their actions and inactions, except there is anything like that, except the federal government itself had something to do with that contractual agreements between those parties. There is no way why a business agreement between a state and individuals should now bounce back on the federal government. The assets they have seized now do not belong to the state. If we say that, okay, because a state is part of the federation, that the state is a part owner of those assets, it's not the only owner. There are 36 states, and this state is just one state. There are 774 local governments, And this state is just one state. So how can this state now put the whole of Nigeria in jeopardy?
But,
I think that they should be able to sort it out.
But you know that aside this happening in France, there's another one
In the US,
UK,
yes.
in the UK,
Yes.
where some buildings have been taken over, or seized rather, also by court ruling, court judgment.
in fact, as a matter of fact, in about 9 countries where our assets are, some of these foreign companies have targeted seizure of our assets. So it's like it's not just about France, the asset in France. Our assets elsewhere stand a great risk.
For instance, you see, that's why I agree with Bayo Onanuga, the presidential spokesperson, that this is a campaign of calumny.
He said it's arm twisting.
It's arm twist. Now, how much is the money? The old money, $70 million. Assuming that is the old money, $70 million. How much is an aircraft? Is an aircraft more than 70 million? You have 3 aircrafts. You are sitting here. You are sitting here. How much is this money in this? Assuming but not conceding that you are right, that you can place a lien on the property of the federal government in view of the problem you have with the state. How much? Is that the reason why you want to seize all the assets of Nigeria that amounts to billions of dollars just because of how much? Is that the reason why you want to auction?
So is that the reason why some people are saying it's not just a legal victory for those Chinese companies, but a kind of red flag for our own global investment reputation? This is the time that our president has dedicated so much time to attracting foreign investment, and we are being presented as a country that does not respect contractual agreement. Do you think those companies will be encouraged or be motivated to invest in a country that's suspected not to respect contractual agreements?
No, you see, it is not only in Nigeria that people breach agreements. It's not only in Nigeria. In those countries that are making a lot of noise about this issue, there are also cases of people, organizations, subnationals, even national governments breaching agreements. It is a normal thing in business practices that people do sometimes or even often breach agreements. When agreements are breached, the thing to do is to seek redress. Nobody is against those Chinese companies seeking redress. What we are against is using it to blackmail the federal government. Is that they are using it now to tarnish the entire country, just like we have said. They are using it to demarket Nigeria and demarket Nigerians for a problem they have with just one state out of 36 states. This is a problem they have not with Lagos State, not with Ondo State, where I come from, not with Kano State, not with Port Harcourt, not with just with Ogun State, one state. And now you are making it look as if you have a problem with Nigeria. You don't have a problem with Nigeria.
But they sought redress locally. I mean, going to all our courts.
And
in fact, it involved the Attorney General of the Federation. And the solution was not found. Maybe that's why they externalized it.
They went to court within the jurisdiction where they had that business agreement. And they failed. We have our court processes. You can go up to the Supreme Court level. Then they assessed that and they failed. Now they went outside. You see, the problem that we have now is that a lot of people outside have this negative impression about Nigeria. That's what we're talking about, that when a country does not manage its reputation very well, it begins to have reputational problems. And when you have problem of reputation, even offenses that you did not commit, people will begin to ascribe it to you. A lot of people outside there think that Nigeria is hell on earth. Nigeria is that
bunch of criminals.
Yes, they never hear or see anything good about Nigeria. And this is also some of the points that our own people themselves, even our own leaders, are encouraging. I'll give you an example. we had an election that produced the present government. That election, in my own opinion, apart from the 1993 presidential election that produced M.K. Abiola, that election, this last election, was the freest and the fairest that we ever had. That was an election in which the man who eventually became the president lost in his home state of Osun, lost in his adopted state of Lagos, lost in his Yoruba, in his two states, in his own Yoruba setting, where people from other settings came and won in those places. Instead of us to celebrate the positives in that election, this was an election where the youth came together and where we began to see a pan-Nigerian mandate that was delivered to somebody. But because that person fell short of making the presidency, he now went to town and disparaged that election as if nothing happened. And then that election, that pan-Nigerian mandate now collapsed and became an ethnic mandate. And then the whole thing fizzled out. And then we began to talk negatively about an election that all of us should be celebrating and should be saying that this is the area that we need to improve upon. This is the area that we need to improve upon. We dismantled everything. We threw away the baby with the bathwater. We gave ourselves bad reputation over something that we ought to have been celebrating. This is part of the outcome we are finding now. This is the consequence. When you have called yourself a bad name, how do you expect outsiders to give you a good, to say that you are a good person? So we have contributed largely to the negative reputation, to the negative image that this country has now in the international community. And every one of us will suffer for it. That's what we are suffering for now.
Still talking about the judiciary. We know we have some instances of cases that whenever cases are taken to courts outside our shores, it looks like, number one, you get judgment speedily, and the judgment always seems to be different from what we'll get back home. Don't you think that's why this international company actually took the case off our shores and went to use international courts? Because they know that they will get something different from what they will get here.
Yes, you see,
because it's like it's become a norm.
Yes, you see, I'm not even opposed to these Chinese companies going outside, because it must have been in the agreement that in case of any disagreement, that arbitration, that they can recourse to arbitration. Any agreement is always there. The kind of arbitration that you can recourse to, you can recourse. It can be if it has been stated that international arbitration, then they have a right to go for international arbitration. If it has been stated that no, every arbitration has to be locally sourced, that's to be local, then they don't have a right to go to international for international arbitration. But most of these foreign companies do insist on international arbitration because they don't trust our local judiciary. And that is a problem that we ourselves must start to begin to address. Why is it that, like you have said, why is it that people who escape blue mother here, when they are tried outside, that they are found guilty? We had the case of Ibori, former governor of Delta State. Now, yes.
The former senator too is still there.
We have the same. You see, these are people who are untouchables at home. There are so many other people like that now that if they step outside and the same facts are presented, they will end up in jail. But here in Nigeria, they will walk free. We have so many people who are walking free. We have so many of them who are even not only walking free, they are in high positions. They are in commanding positions. They are determining our destiny. They are determining our fate, despite the huge load of the garbage of corruption cases that they have hanging on their necks. So when you have a judicial system like that, how do you expect it to make people to have confidence?
All right. Apart from the current one that has got so messy and has brought us a kind of kind of bad reputation. I'm aware that there are several such contractual agreements in almost all the states of the Federation, where the states are actually contracting businesses or going to partnership with foreign companies. Moving forward now, going forward, how do we ensure that we do not suffer this kind of fate again? Now, apart from even contractual agreements, 5 states in Nigeria, Lagos, Delta, Rivers, Imo, and Ogun, the same Ogun here, have taken so much humongous loans outside. Now, the question is, how much oversight function is federal government performing over all these agreements and contracts and the loans, such that it doesn't have the kind of backlash we are currently suffering? So how do we prevent that? How do we prevent it, yes, in future?
See, it is not the job of the federal government. If we are actually operating a federal system, the federal government has no powers to breathe down the neck of federating units like the states. They don't have that powers. They can advise, but they cannot tell them, do this, don't do that. That is the job of the State House of Assembly. The State House of Assembly is the one that makes laws for the running of the state. The State House of Assembly is the one that has oversight functions over the executive in the state. The State House of Assembly is the one that's supposed to authenticate, that's supposed to ratify all these agreements that they are making. All these loans that they are going, the humongous loans, like you said, they are collecting, is supposed to have passed through the State House of Assembly. But unfortunately, in Nigeria today, the State of Assembly is, in most cases, is rubber stamp. Just like we have that the National Assembly itself is rubber stamp as far as the federal government is concerned. So our legislators are not up to their responsibilities. Our legislators are just there as errand boys and errand girls of the executive. What they are there for is just to massage the ego of the governor or the president and collect things for themselves. They are not actually performing their oversight functions. If they are performing their oversight functions, there is no way that a governor will approbate and reprobate at the same time without the House of Assembly coming in. I have been sufficiently close enough to those people to know that our governors behave like thingos. Their orders must be obeyed. People are afraid to tell them the truth. Even when you know that they are going wrong, they are afraid to tell them the truth. Because when you tell them... Yes, so that you know, civil servants are always carrying files, political appointees are always carrying files and putting their hands behind their back before governors, and because they call it prayers. That is what you are after. I pray after you list what you want. I pray. So if your governor does not like your face, he will not sign your file. He will not release money for you. He can sideline you. You can be in any office, no matter how powerful or so-called your office is, whether you are grade A or grade B. If the governor can decide to relegate you, a chief of staff can be useless, and his deputy can be the one performing all the job. A commissioner or a minister can be useless. It can be a director in the ministry or in the department that will be performing the jobs. It depends. Everything depends everything rests on the pleasure of the chief executive. So you discover that the legislature is always a toothless bulldog. So that is why we have all these problems. It is not the function of the federal government to come and be asking which contract are you entering. You must not enter into this. You must not collect this loan. You must not collect that loan. It is the duty of the House Assembly. We must call the House of Assembly to order. We must hold their feet to the fire. This problem that we have now is a problem that we must trace to the House of Assembly of Ogun State.
Okay,
where were you when this man was
reading? Okay, very good. This same House of Assembly has also been mentioned in the crisis. You recall that there's a local angle to this issue. The revered professor of political economy, Professor Patutomi, has also come out to say his own side of, his experience, the negative experience he shared in this kind of contractual agreement, that his contract was, he was shortchanged to the sum of almost 100 million naira in a contract he had with the same government of Amosu. But Amosun was saying that the State House of Assembly had blacklisted Professor Otomi even before he became the governor, meaning that the State House of Assembly must have also performed its function to the state. So, but the issue is, the Professor Otomi's angle, does it not make our case to be bad? That even one of our own is saying that we have a culture of not respecting contracts. This is a Nigerian saying that, and it has become, it's gone viral. Yes. That between the governor and the state and the Professor Otomi. Mm-hmm. The governor also replied that Otomi was kind of having the entitlement syndrome. Mm-hmm. So how does all of this, help our case or fail to help our case?
You see, for all I care, they can hang Ogun State, take Nigeria out of it. However they want to collect their money, however they want to enforce the agreement against Ogun State, let them go and do it. But Nigeria is not...
But it's not just a moral issue, it's a legal issue now.
Yes, Nigeria is not... Yes, Nigeria should also be able to prove it. The lawyers should be able to prove it that since the federal government, except if the federal government was party to the agreement. If the federal government was party to the agreement, they become liable.
Well, they are able to separate states from federal government issues.
But if the federal government is liable, then the federal government has a connection, is connected, whether it is standing as guarantor or if it is the federal government that guarantees every loan, every outside loan, or every foreign loan for state governments, for local governments. If it's the federal government that guarantees everything, it means that it is on the federal government. If it is the federal government that guarantees every agreement that is that states governments enter into, it means it is on the federal government. Then what the federal government can do is go to the National Assembly, amend whatever section of our laws that says so, and let every state or everybody who is taking foreign loans or who is entering into foreign agreements do so on its own. And so that the federal government cannot now be roped into it. Now, if the federal government is not part of it, the federal government should clearly state its case, not just like it did in the PID case, and then get out of it. And let those companies go and sort themselves out with Ogun State. But if, for whatever reason, the federal government is now liable, then we should have to come back home and compel Ogun State to pay that money. We should have to seize their assets. The man who said that he was the one that signed the contract and that revoked the contract, he has assets in this country. We should seize his assets. We should make these people make an example, example so that they can be object lesson to other people. You cannot just cause the country to lose money, and then at the end of the day, you just fold your arms, you just throw your hands in the air and say that you have not done anything. You see, we are in this country where we have to say this. Did you know that because of $1,000, $2,000 that some people, some bureaucrats are promised, they can put loopholes that foreign companies can exploit to rip this country up? Was that not what we saw in the case of PID? That bureaucrats that were supposed to do certain things, they didn't. Some files, some documents that we were supposed to present got missing. Some people made those to get missing. Now we had a case recently now that they said the file on the former governor of
Ganduje,
that the file got missing during this bad governance. Some people got there and took away the file. Can you imagine that? What for? So you find a case where some Nigerians have become so complicit in criminal activities that they don't care for the good interest of the people. They don't, for peanuts, they are ready to sell this country out to foreign interests. And those people, we must actually seek them out and we must punish them. Otherwise, this kind of thing, like you said, is not. We have only seen that of Ogun. We don't know any other state that they have this similar case. And now this one will encourage those other states now.
Exactly.
But except we fight this one and win this one, other states, other people will encourage. Some of them will even deliberately enter into agreements and pretend as if we are the ones that that breaches the agreement, and then they will go to court. And don't forget also that because our people are also not very, very careful. We don't like due process.
Being careful, not being patriotic.
No, patriotism is apart. To be careful is another thing. Okay, we are not going to say that the governor who said, I didn't take time to do due diligence. We cannot say it because of lack of patriotism. It's because it's our carefree attitude. It's because we cut corners, fire brigade approach. So we don't have details, particularly contractual obligations. The details, the I's and the T's must be dotted and be crossed, and then you must read in line by line, word for word, because just a preposition can change the meaning. So that's the problem that we have.
This case is still ongoing, so
it's ongoing. We'll have more time. It's an issue that is ongoing, just like I said. So we would have a course to actually, we are monitoring too, and we'll see what will happen at the end of the day. Thank you for your time and your thoughts on this issue. Nigeria will hail thee, and we pray that Nigeria will become stronger. Thank you, Mr. Bolawole.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Former editor, Punch newspapers, and a media consultant now. Yes. Thank you very much for your time.
It's my pleasure.
My name is Baji Busari.
All right, so we'll move on to the news segment on our program, talking about issues and developmental strides of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu in Lagos State. Please watch, and then we'll see you again on our next edition. I am Joe.